I title this Ayats of History or At-Tariqul Islam. The ayats in the history of Islam. But this would be more like general patterns, general ayats in history. Do y'all remember the other day I was talking about General Patton had a slight belief in reincarnation? Yeah. And he, during World War II, he saw the people had coming in carts. You know, that's when the Germans had been really wore down. And he remembered whether it was the Peloponnesian War or one of those. He was a semi-student of history. He remembered that the carts were full of the carts. He remembered the carts. And for Patton, this gave him a picture that it was about finished for the German Reich. So there are signs in history. We also know certain things about Nero fiddled while Rome burned. Technically, I don't believe while Rome was burning, he was sitting there with a fiddle, you know. I believe it's an analogy of as Rome was being compromised and destroyed, he was just paralyzed. He didn't know what to do. You know, it's like right now, with what's going on in America, all the signs of paralysis, all the signs of psychological depravity and inactivity, all the signs of decline, the ayats, all present. And I want to mention a few. First of all, when you're in prison and a riot happens, the first thing everybody do is move toward. It's a mixture of people there, you know, like if you're in the field house or something. So when a riot happens, everybody go to their team. All the black people huddle together, the Spanish people, it's automatic. You don't have to worry about it. They all huddle together because that's where safety is. Safety. You wouldn't even think about, well, in those days, looking for safety amongst white boys, maybe Mexicans, but not Euros because that's the one you really gonna usually be fighting. So when a riot happens, everybody retreats to home base, and home base is usually their people. So if you look at America right now, America reminds us of something that, what was it in history about the white lady from France? They said the people of Paris are starving. Marie Antoinette, she said, let them eat cake, right? Let them eat cake. Not only just bread. The people of Paris need bread. Well, that ain't nothing. Shoot. Because they cut her head off for saying that. They probably thought she was just being funny. We're starving to death. We tell you we need bread. You up here in the palace and you say, let us have cake. We'll see about that. How you like the guillotine? Guillotine from Gillette. You know Gillette blades? Guillotine. Same thing. Sharp as a razor. Okay. So today we're going to talk about we had certain other things in mind we definitely was going to talk about. But right now, it just hit me like you have to just talk about there's certain things, the patterns of history right now. We already talked about stage one, when a riot happens, you already go to your mutual corner, that is your team. The next thing you do is you have to recognize who's here, what's going on. You know, that's the purpose of getting to your mutual team. Okay. And that's the way America is getting ready to do right now. America evidently don't know it. But if we take anything from the things that we've been talking about over the years, now the last time we did this really clear and specific was actually, it was 10, 11 years ago. You know, when we outlined the steps of decline, but also the steps of development. That it would not be what was they calling it? They were saying it was a rebellion, there's a revolution over there. Tahrir Square, huh? Arab Spring. We said, ain't no Arab Spring, ain't gonna be nothing. Don't worry about it. And I knew for sure it wasn't nothing when Muhammad al-Asi and what's the name, the brother that's head of the Islamic Civil Rights, Human Rights Commission, because they had just sent me over to Switzerland to attend a program that wasn't going on. They was just having fun with me, you know. So they sent me over there, and it was no program. Not only that, but the plane was held up out there at Dulles, and the pilot said, I've never seen nothing like this before. In other words, he'd been given an order that he wasn't used to following, and he didn't like it at all. You could tell when he was saying that the United States government was holding up his plane. Okay, why? Because if you hold up a plane, if there's transit, which it is, there's people going to Africa, there's people going to other parts of Europe. I was just going to Geneva, to Switzerland. Other people was going everywhere else in the world. And if they hold the plane up, that means the people, the airline got to keep you an extra day. You either stay into the airport for the next plane or they give you a hotel. So the airline is aware of all this. The pilot is aware of all this. If we don't make our connecting flight, if we don't get off the ground in 10 minutes, we're not going to make our connecting flight. So they held us up past, you don't have to worry, you're not going to make no connecting flight. They held us up. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and by the time we left, it was about 7 or 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, because we onboarded the plane and we, yeah. Yeah, it was, they was deep. This didn't happen once. They was deep when they was messing with me. It was real deep. Okay. So, in this case, if y'all would remember in history, Fatih, Constantinople, 1451, that's when the so-called Ottoman Empire rose to its proper, it was big. So it captured Constantinople in 1451. And everybody else, and even they thought that was a great victory. But since they was controlling the Middle East, the rest of the world had to find a way to get around. They talking about they had to get around They had to get around the Middle East. So they had all heard about the world is round, or they was thinking about it. So they said that's why they call the people over here Indians, right? Because they thought they had went around and found India, right? They wanted to get over there, and they had all kind of estimates of the world, the circumference of the world. If this is this way, this is that way. If you got to be so up high on the mast to see, because if you just right there at water level, you can't see but a block or two because the earth is round, right? So in order to see 20 miles out there, you got to be up on the crow's nest. They had enough sense to know all of that. So they figured this thing is round. You know what I mean? That old stuff about a flat earth, it was so flat, why we got to be up so high to see? So they just drawing pictures and said, if we got to be up so high to see out so far, that means there's a curvature. And so they start estimating the curvature. That's why they estimated the earth wasn't 25,000 miles around, 24,986,000 square miles. That's actual facts, of course. That it's actually around 20,000. They wasn't far off. So anyway, what appeared to be a great victory for the Muslims was not a great victory. You notice the Ottomans didn't do anything with colonialism? Why did the Spanish and the Portuguese, the Portuguese, why they got Angola and all them places? Because the Vasco da Gama just said, well, what I'll do is, this is Africa, I'll go down here a ways. They built a little fort, then I go down a little further. After so many years, they went around Africa. That's why the Portuguese had colonies on both sides. Okay. So then they realized that, India is right over there. So they just call it the Indian Ocean over there, The point is this. The reason we don't speak any Spanish anywhere around is because our conquest was related to the world that they understood at those times. That's why we had a lot of Muslims in Malaysia, Indonesia, and all of that stuff, But not over here. Why? Because the Spanish, the Inquisition, had just about lynched everybody, and give them a little torture. And there's a couple of people, like Umar is a special name down in South America. This one guy called Nasrullah. Nasrullah? Yeah, right down there somewhere. I said, Nasrullah, good for you. That might get you saved, boy, but he be killing everybody, but still he got a good name. So the point I'm making is, the thing 1451 that should have been a great victory for the Muslims, and it went on for 400-500 years. It was good, but it boxed them in. They were focused on their stuff. They had a little stuff in North Africa and around, but when it got up to these close centuries, and they were being attacked by all the other countries, a lot of the people in Africa had bayah to them. All they had to do was send them some troops and send them some help down there. They'd have knocked off the French, they'd have knocked off the British, they'd have knocked over everybody. But then we wouldn't have history like we got now. You see what I mean? It would have been different. That's why there's certain parts of history that, it says right here on the thing that Allah will help you from avenues that you couldn't even recognize. But it also talks about when Allah have destined the ascendancy or decline of a nation, it's all written. And Allah also says in the Quran that those people, they wasn't just planless, they had plans and schemes to stay in pocket, America has plans and schemes to stay in pocket. But I'm sorry, America is finished. The United States of America is finished, and it smells close. And that's why I'm giving the talk today, because I said I had to talk about this, because I can't listen to the news. It's right around the block, right somewhere. It's close. Here's what I'm talking about. So there are signs in the universe, and there are signs in ourselves. And there's historical signs that are repetitive. So technically, Nero didn't play the fiddle while Rome was burning, but he was inactive and he didn't do anything, and he made the bad decisions that made it worse. Right now, the United States of America is in bad shape, and everything that happens, they make it worse. Like when you look at California, both north and south, when you look at on books and on TV, and they have that World's Fair thing in Seattle, Washington, right? And it has the roots down, and it's like dope roots it's feeding on. It's rotten roots is finished. The West Coast that used to be, oh man, go to California, Golden, California, man, that's the place to be. And we went there during the golden 50s. See, they had the Depression, the Roaring 20s, they had the Depression 30s and the War 40s, and then they had the golden 50s. The 1950s would probably be considered the best time to be alive in America. They had won World War. Or it was, they was lynching a few folks, but I mean, you just imagine. When we went to California, when I went to California, I mean, all of a sudden, only thing I used to see in the summertime when they would drive cars, you could see way off in the distance a big plume of dust going behind it. You know, kicking up dusty roads. In the wintertime, you couldn't hardly drive because the cars had them big old, tall, narrow wheels. The trucks had winches on them. You know what I mean? The trucks had winches on them. So if you get stuck, which everybody did, you know, and they had shovels for you to throw stuff under there because it was roads. The roads was muddy. The roads was dusty in the summer and muddy in the winter. And big old tall, skinny tires, not big fat tires like they got now, but them skinny, narrow, tall tires, and they go right down in the ground. The more you spin them, the quicker they go down. And then I come out to California, and all the streets was paved, and you could walk to the end of the house right there and flip a switch. Oh, the lights would come on. Now, I would be lying. We did get electricity in 1951 years at one place before we went out there. But everybody used kerosene lanterns, outside toilets. You mean you push a button and go on out somewhere? I'll be doggone. Then if you want to go somewhere, you just walk and take a nickel and you catch a ride on the bus. And they run all the time. And you just get on the bus and ride. Of course, we didn't ride much. We was used to walking, so we would walk wherever we wanted to go. You know, people that had no money to be riding no bus, at least at that time. So anyway, so California, up in Detroit, all those places were heavenly places. California was wonderful. It was a golden state, and they called it the golden 50s. Everybody had a job. You could be making $2 a day in Arkansas and go out to California and make $3 per hour. That's big money now. And you could buy a house for $5,000 to $8,000, right? The same here. These houses is 10,000, 7,000, 8,000. Shoot, they was probably $10,000 up to the 70s, you know. But anyway, they done took a turn now. Okay. Another thing about Nero fiddle while Rome burns. We've all looked at, can you turn the heat down just a pinch? We've all looked on TV and we see poor California, right? Especially Oakland and LA. And San Francisco right across the bay. Number one, you can't buy a house. When I left a 3-bedroom house in California, not when I left, but the time before last, a 3-bedroom house in San Francisco was $1 million. Now it's $1.5 million. A 3-bedroom house in San Francisco. Rich people buy a Mac mansion. Select 10 rich people. I mean, they rich. They get together and buy a Mac mansion. If it's 5 of them, and they all get a bedroom, and they all get a, they get the house together. They don't buy the house together. Why? Because they're rich and they can't afford it. You know, I mean, houses are like in California right now. The ghetto houses is $600,000 or $700,000. This is what they are. The other thing is, homelessness is unbelievable. Homelessness is like, y'all may not remember, but just at the end of it used to be hobos. They used to ride the trains, hobos, real live hobos. And I remember in '57, I talked to one. I talked to a white guy. He was a hobo, and I just talked to him and da-da-da-da. But they used to have them. They used to have hobos. Hobos was coming back. Why? They used to ride on the train. They didn't have nowhere to go. And then they would go out to California. And California got so tired of them, they started closing. They started searching the trains coming in. And they made sure when you came into California, you got to have so much money with you. Why? Because people are picking. Anybody see the Grapes of Wrath? Grapes of Wrath. That's what they'd say. You pick peaches for a nickel a bucket. Fill up the bucket, you get a nickel. Then they cut it down to 2.5 cents. They get you there, get you working. That's 2.5 cents a bucket. Because when you go picking, I went picking once, and you get so much. By the time I went picking, I was 17. You pay the guy money to take you out to the beans or whatever you're picking. Like now, mostly Latinos do it. I went out there and I didn't like that kind of work. I mean, I didn't like it at all. I maybe pick one basket of peas. That's about it. Then when I was 12, me and my brother went down to Arkansas, back to Arkansas. Always a talk of the town and Pine Bluff. Hey, California, California everybody liked us, we had our 49er jackets on. We were sharp. We was from California, And so right where we used to live, we said we want to pick some cotton. We didn't hear a lot about this. Now, neither one of us had picked cotton. Number one, when I was there, I used to ride on the mule when my father was was plowing. And then in 51, we got a tractor, or 50, we got a tractor. So my brother that was 19, he'd be driving, and I'd be sitting on the tractor, just riding. So I never did a day's work in my life down there. Everything I did was fun. Going fishing, throwing rocks, stuff like that. So I saw everybody chopping cotton and picking cotton, but I'd never tried it. So, shoot. Man, me and my brother got a cotton sacks, and we went down the road, and we just threw the thing off. Forget it. That was it. I walked one row of cotton. I mean, it wasn't but about 2-3 handfuls of cotton because all them stickers on the cotton. So, man, forget about all of that. You got to know how to pick cotton. So anyway, the point I'm making is we came up through a certain thing, and look, right now, right this minute, America is going through a serious change. I want you to think about all of those people out there who are homeless, all those people who are losing their homes, right? All of those people now, it's not by the thousands, it's by the millions. We picked California first because the weather's good out there, so people go out there. So goes California, so goes America. California was the first state where white folks wasn't a majority. They're not the majority in California. It's only a little percentage, and then the rest is Mexicans and blacks. I'll get to the point. Allah always talks about exchange and re-exchange and substituting peoples. Okay, now the British had their run, Portuguese had their run, the Spanish Empire had its run, right? Rome had its run, everybody had their run. But the seeds of their own destruction was planted inside of themselves. Like when the Ottomans, for 500 years, they controlled that Middle East. But they had already had the seeds of their own destruction. All the other places sent people all over the world. Why? Because they controlled the access to Europe. Right? Right where the Ottomans was, they built the Suez Canal. Right there. Of course, the French built it, but I mean, they ran. That's what they was doing. So everybody else had to go around and look for something. In going and looking, they stumbled into America. It wasn't on any map. Oh, what is this? So they fumbled around for a couple hundred years. They realized, oh, you go around here, you go around there, then you get over here. And so I think Magellan must have been the first one to go around the world. It took him, I don't know how long. You know where you go around, and then they come up, then they go around. So anyway, that was the years of exploration. Now, what happens to America now? If you look at American history right now, America, as big and as powerful as it is, it's lost every conflict it's been in at extreme costs for everybody else. They paid. I mean, if Vietnamese, they might have lost 3 million people. The Gulf Wars, the couple they fought in, they just blasted Saddam out of the water. They commit chaos everywhere they go. But in the roots of that is their own destruction. Right now, Nero fiddling while Rome is burning, while America is in total chaos and destruction. The white folks send other 2, 3 white folks go out of space. And what do you think about? What do the people think? Think how these people, they've lost their homes. It's not thousands anymore. It's huge expanse. Y'all seen some of the stuff. Well, that's just Northern California. What about the other cities in California? That's what happened in LA. They got San Diego, they got other towns, and it's not only Seattle, Washington. What about Portland, Oregon, all those beautiful cities, right? That have modest weather. Nice places, beautiful places, packed with homeless people. And now the government is not doing anything about the homeless people. You see what I mean? Okay, now you and I, that was a time when you paid 25% of your salary was usually for housing. Like when I made $400 a month, my rent was $100. For a nice 2-bedroom, wall-to-wall carpet, yeah, I was 65. That's what, you paid 1/4 of your. Now people pay, I hear people pay half and more. Is that true that people pay half and more? Okay. You got to think about this. Once you get to a critical space where so many people are homeless, right? So many people are threatened with homelessness. All of a sudden, everybody throw up their hands all at one time. Imagine in a few years, and I wanted to say this today because, like you get a feel for the time. This is time to say this because these people are dumb. They're not dumb, they're historical. All the historical people from the Romans to the British, they had this something else gonna happen. We've been lucky all the time. They call it exceptionalism, right? The way they sound is everybody except us. Yeah, it happened to the British, but it ain't gonna happen to us. And we are special, we're American. And they actually say that. They say we are exceptional. Millions now, I'm saying millions, of people in the street. And they're saying, it's okay. They're not doing nothing about it. They're not doing anything about it. And the rich are getting richer. And they worse than the white lady, Marie Antoinette, let them have cake. They starving to death, they getting put out of their house, and this joker got a few people on the space shot and they go out of space for a joyride. That's dumb. That's dumb. That is dumb. And all the people is watching it, right? That's what's happening today. That means that when will this be? When will this collapse be? First, the whistle gonna blow, and everybody they gonna pull back to their corners like everybody. So at first, the whites gonna be with the whites, blacks with the blacks, Latinos with the Latinos, and then this time, it's not gonna be like a prison riot. There's people in there, just like the homeless things. All the homeless people is homeless together. You notice it ain't no segregation. There's no Mexican section in the homeless. There's no white section. They're all there together, right? Huh?
Some have jobs and they're homeless.
Some have jobs, light jobs, and they're homeless. But now, What have they done? They've increased the distance. See, that's rebellion starts to happen when you got a middle class, they stabilize a society. But every time there's a rebellion, that means it's not a big middle class to give the society stability. It's a very rich, it's a very poor class. The people in the middle class have slidden down to the poor class. And the rich class is on the ascendancy. Can you read the statistics? What they say about so-and-so now made $1 zillion doing this. Everybody else got on food stamps, and they done made $1 zillion. Right? Look, they forget about their own teaching. They forget about history, and that's what happens. Every time a big boy falls, it's because the guy just, they forgot, or they were exceptional. That happened to the British. It ain't going to happen to us. Well, we're Americans. Okay. Now, during this period, we have to try to be a stabilizing force, because all kind of things are going to happen. It's happening now in little ways, but it's going to really happen. For instance, them big old trucks going coast to coast. Suppose you hijack one. How much money is on that? How much food and coffee, the big stacked up? Maybe $100,000, right? Just say maybe. So you think the people going to look at the Civil War, look at Jesse James and all them? What did they do? They were train robbers. They robbed trains during the Civil War. And when they got out, when they kept on robbing trains, but tons of money on there. They got to transport it. Robbing stagecoaches. That was a period in American history where everybody that had been a part of a certain war or something like that, which was mainly the Civil War during the cowboy days, they remind me of Mau Mau's in Africa. And they remind me, that's why you could easily see what happened in South Africa. During the rebellion, the people are all out in the bush together. Then the guys come into power. When I went to East Africa, the rebellion in Kenya and all that, the Mau Mau's, that was 15 years before, not a long time. Where did you find them at? They was highway robbers. Why? Because Jomo Kenyatta came to power, or to get the government in power. The people had took the oath, the Mau Mau oath. They wasn't the ones getting the power. In South Africa, during our time, right in our time, you could see it. The ANC, remember how popular it used to be? It's not popular anymore. Because the ANC, when I was there, they was standing around in barrels with holes in it, trying to stay warm. A few of them got big jobs. But the thousands that helped during the period of rebellion, they had no jobs for them. So they used to rob all the poor Indian, boy, they did them bad, I'm telling you. And the Indians, our friends who are Muslims, helped them get liberated. But, I'm talking about 96, 97, 98. 98 was a bad year, 98, 99, not long ago. Shoot, if they saw a big cement block on the highway, they wouldn't stop. They'd try to get around it. Why? Because if you stop, there's some brothers right there with AK-47s, and they're going to rob you. The same brothers that you helped get liberation. I don't know if y'all heard my lectures, but I said Mandela them was talking about building 5 million homes. I said, they ain't going to do it. I think some of you might. I said, they won't do it. They ain't going to do it. You can't do it. Right? Right. Okay, so everybody heard that. That means they wasn't going to do it. Therefore, since they can't do that, we thought South Africa would be different than the other African countries because South Africa was so structured and organized. It was just like here. Your computer, your phones, all that, the same thing as here. It's as modern as here. Everything you can get here, you can push all the same buttons there and you get it in South Africa. Okay. So, we didn't think South Africa would go down as far as it did. It is now. Because we thought it would catch itself and the people had a pretty good structure going and they didn't do it. They did just like all other African countries. They went down, down, down and kept going down. And what happens is you don't read the signs. America is not reading the signs of its own country. They're not reading any of the signs. That there is technically, from what I don't believe there's any way for them to pull out of it. I don't believe it. And I'm not going to plan for it. We're going to plan in preparation and work in preparation that America, we're going to do the best we can, but America is going to collapse. And as it collapses, we want to be a part of the reconstruction period. We don't need to do nothing to it. America been bad. No. I've been saying this for 20 years, and it's clear now. Somebody is going to have to be alive and active with discipline that is nonpartisan, right? That is on everybody's side. They're going to have a good name. They're going to have the trust of the people. Why? Because you can't leave it to nobody right now. Not the environmentalists. If they snatch power, great. The Negroes, what if they snatch power? Sharpton and them niggas. Even Messi might still be around. Messi, Jesse. Suppose them coons are still here, right? White folks, the remnants of those politicians, can you imagine what they're saying in Congress? Can you imagine the police that protected them, right? I want you to imagine America the way it is right now. The police and other parts of the police's family are middle class and below. Okay, when all this fitness started happening and they hijacking trucks out on the highway patrol is right there. Their relatives live right there where they patrolled it, right? And when their relatives hijack, the police gonna be, okay, if such and such a truck come by, when they in there relaxing, just let us know. The police gonna be doing it. Why? Because what they do at last week at the Congress, they blame everything on the police. Of course it's the police. Those same police shot a black woman a couple of years ago, had a baby in the back seat. Remember that?
Not only that, the same police
It's confusion. Right now, it's confusion. Okay. Everybody go to their mutual corner or section. That's the races they do. You don't have to ask nobody nothing. You don't care who you are. Where's the niggas at? Oh, right over here. Okay. That's where you're headed. You're going to know where they are. You don't have to, nobody have to give you a signal or stuff like that, shoot up a flare. You're going to know where the niggas is at. And that's where you're going to be. They're going to know where the white folks are. Okay? But there's different peoples now. There'll be 2 or 3% of the Negroes that's going to die for boss, okay? But not the majority, right? Okay? There'll be 2 or 3 white folks, but their relatives are starving to death. You know, Ma Barker, Bonnie Clyde, and them and all of them, those was heroes during the 30s. They was heroes. They was robbing banks. Who took their house? Who took their farm? The bank. Who kicked all these people out of their houses? The bank. Don't worry about it. Look, and this is not old Frank Roosevelt is not getting into power, and things are a lot farther gone than they was then. Right? They're not going to have a World War II to pull them out of it, and the United States has treated everybody bad. His troops, they go over there and get themselves almost killed. Oh, you come back with post-traumatic, well, just shoot them then. Or 22 Americans per day, soldiers, are committing suicide for no help. I had a relative that's a veteran. He called every now and then. Man, I got my veteran stuff. I say, you just lucky. So the other people ain't got nothing. Right? They ain't get nothing because they ain't got enough to give it all of them. You know, okay. The point I'm making is this all culminates. This all comes together. And just like the prognostication 10 years ago about which way America was headed and all that, and which way the Islamic movement and overseas, they headed exactly that same way. Right now, this is the way. I don't see no way out of it. I don't see no way out of it. I don't see, nobody has the ability or the authority to do anything. The president can't do it because he get elected and we're going to have peace with the Iranians, and then he said, if we give them this, that, and other, they're going to be, so let's stall, right? Okay. And now the people of the world is looking at that. And everybody knows this is not America World War II that pulled everybody out of the soup. This is America that put everybody in the soup. Whoever you at, we're going to run off and leave you. Any and everybody, we're going to run off and leave your behind, right? That's America's name. That's who they are. They break their treaties. They lie, and you're not what they do to other people. They do to each other too. They don't just. That's what I mean. There's no. That was a time when if you was an American and another American, well, I'll cut your throat, but shoot, we are an American, so we got to at least get out of this soup, and then I'll cut your throat after if it's possible. If not, you can live and go about your business. Unless I find a spot that I could get away with all of this. But America now, America is finished. There's no, like you look for areas and methods and ways of decline, you always too looking at how can they reconstruct themselves. We do it all the time. We cannot find no way. That don't mean that we know what we're talking about, but we haven't seen no way that they can reconstruct themselves, that they can rebuild their credibility, right? And in the world, what do? If you're America's friend, you can kill anybody and everybody. Saudi Arabia, if you're Israel, you can kill all the people all the time and take people's houses and their property. It don't make no difference because you with the Americans. And everybody see that. Everybody see that. So let me speed up a little bit here. Now, someone is going to mobilize all these homeless people. They're not going to be absent of leadership and structure. And the 99%, that was something they probably started, but the people will remember, wait a minute, one guy in town owned the whole, what more than the whole 99%? So what the 99% going to do? We get rid of this guy and we share all of this stuff between us. That's America. The Bezos, all them guys, they're going to have a new structure here in America, but it won't be like you can be that rich. No. You can be rich enough to own 3 houses, something like that, but you can't be like, or right then, they're going to take their money. All them billions and trillions, the American people are going to take it. They're going to have stuff here in America. Yeah, they're going to do that. There's no other way for it to go. They can't get away from it, and I'm sorry. It would be nice. But first, everybody's going to go to their mutual corner. Then the people are going to think, well, whose cause? How did we get poor like this? Everybody's going to point that as him. As them. Right? Is that right? Not to mention the arms that Americans have. Forget about that. And then them messing with all the Mexicans and everybody on this continent. I don't see no way out for Bossman. I'm sorry. I don't see no way. Not that I'm a petty historian. Not that I've been absolutely correct. Not absolutely, but very 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down. Almost all the time. I'm just saying that this is what I remember about what I've been saying about this. And that's why I was going to come over. I didn't have this, I had all kind of other stuff to talk about. But I said, I just walk, I said, oh no, this is it. And so, this is it. This is what, by the way, we're going to do our part. We're going to write these other things. There'll probably be one tomorrow ready and then another one. And we'll go out 2 times a night and then on Friday. So that'll be enough for us to get around. If nobody else comes, they can stay where they want to. You know, if don't nobody want to go, they can stay over there. Right? I'm just saying, it don't make no difference. Okay. Their dream, the American dream of the people, which is not extraordinary, is discarded. And then they keep playing that stuff on the TV and everything. The movies about rich, 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 rich. Right? And the people are really like, we can see it and we can analyze it, and we've been close enough to analyze it, but the people, what I hear and what I read about, And I hear mostly white people, they are brokenhearted about the life that they're living now. They downcast, they brokenhearted. It's just, you know, like the old song, we built skyways, stairways, somewhere, da, da, da. Buddy, can you spare a dime? That's after World War One. They had whipped everybody, and they built they built the Empire State Building, and then the Depression come, and the song this is a real song. Buddy, can you spare a dime? We did all of this, that, and another. You know, they looking at it like, I was somebody. I used to be somebody. But now, can you spare a dime? It's different when it's 4 or 5 people like that, or 9 or 10. But when you have millions, it's all over. It's all over. All the systems. I was just listening today about, is that John Deere, the tractor people? John Deere is making the tractors now where, you know, the old time tractors, you could repair them and all that. Now they all got these computers, and farming equipment now costs you $1 zillion. And they're making it so you can't repair it. They have to repair it. Anybody that was for the farmer, they would keep it big and functional, but simple still to work, right? They're not doing that. They're greedy too. And they don't care about the people. Now imagine the farmers that have lost their farms since 1980, farm aid and all that. So not only black folks, but it was 10 times as many white folks lost their farm. Those people, I'm talking about a change in America. They're going to just go and take their farm back. Yeah, because when all of them go, they're going to be on a wheelbarrow going by their house. That's where I used to live. I'm going over and take my farm back. Why? Because XRB, gigantic company, owns their farm. And they might have people on there working, but they don't own it no more. What does that mean? What does old white man say? He say, buy land, buy land. He's already the richest man in the world, doggone there. See him on TV. The little old funny man got rich out in California. Bill Gates, and then the other Warren Buffett and them. Warren Buffett might be a nice guy because he tell people, he's not nice, but he tell you at least how to get you some money, if you want to work at it. All that stuff, down the drain. I'm telling you, this is a new time. This is actually, it's clear that there's no other way for it to happen, because every time in history things got like this is what happened, right? Where the people have nothing to lose. It's a big deal that all those people are living in some of them got lucky and kept a mobile home. Just imagine how rich they had to be to have them big mobile homes. Right, them big Winnebagos. They living in them now. But they had to be rich to have them things. Now they just park them, and you see it all over America now. The point is, you got to do something. You got to have some plan to reverse this. There's no plan. There's nobody that has the power and the authority. And there's nobody to reach out to. So that means the trucks on the highway will be hijacked because it has $100,000 worth of coffee and beans and everything on the truck. After every period, stagecoach robberies, all of that picks up. Train robberies. Now it's easier. They got trucks out there. They stood at the park. So they just said, hey, buddy, how you doing? Just come on out. And the guy gonna say, out I come. Why? Because this ain't mine. And if you want, I'll drive it to your warehouse and just give me a little extra. Then I hit myself on the head and lay out and say, hey, that. Right? Don't bother. I'll go to your warehouse right now. Don't put your gun away. Don't, right? Why? Because all those truck drivers are poor. They're paying them $2 to drive 10,000 miles. They don't see their children, nothing, right? It's all, and they lying on TV about, oh, you get you a job driving a truck. And it's open to everybody. I'll be out on the highway and I see the people. They don't look happy at all, right? And they can't be having no money because they go in there and eat that stuff that'll kill you. That stuff under them lights and all of that. That stuff will kill you. And you see how they look. They're not healthy looking. They don't look healthy. They just don't look healthy. And then they sit in the truck all day. Now, if I was in the truck all day, every time I pull up and stop, I'd get my little exercise, run around the thing a few times, right? Oh, look at that. There's a beautiful hill. Well, that's what I would have did. And I run up the hill, run down the hill, run up the hill, run around, do something. They don't do that. They're just sitting up there driving and dying. Right. Anyway, okay. I'll try to speed up. We talked about Nero. We talked about Patton. Okay, natural allies, blacks, Muslims, humanity, just humanity in general. And as you notice, this is not just a certain part of humanity. Humanity is hungry. Humanity is starving, right? Humanity is mistreated. The government is an equal opportunity oppressor, right? It throws white, but boss, I'm white. Yeah. See how many floors we up? See when you hit the bottom, right? See that splatter all over the sidewalk? It'll be white. Yeah, and the only reason we ain't throwing a nigga out because ain't none of them close by. But everybody got to go. That's the callousness of wealth. Marx said a capitalist will sell you a rope to hang him with. You know, just imagine the capitalist, and they do it. You're going to hang me with that rope? That's an inferior quality rope. It's inferior quality. Now I have a rope. It's guaranteed to stretch your neck 5 or 6 inches. And before you hang me, I tell you now, I'll give you a deal on that rope. Right? That's what capitalists will do that. Oh, you ain't going to shoot me with that old raggedy gun. Man, I will take me 5 months to die. I'll be all, nah, here's some dumb bullets and stuff like that. You shoot me with that, I'll be the deadest man in the cemetery. Right? Shoot me with that. That's a capitalist. He lives thinking about money, and he will die thinking about money. He'll never be happy, but he'll be dying thinking about money. Okay. So this new worldism, this is part of the new world. The old world, this will be a more balanced world. Nobody has an exact tract on what it would be, but I could visualize this type of thing. They'll limit a little bit on how much wealth you can acquire, at least knowing, you know what I mean. You get $2-3 million, that's fine. But we're not going to let you go actually starve to death, you know. It'll be something like, believe it or not, Sweden, Denmark, and them countries, they have, believe it or not, they actually have where you don't do too bad, you know. Okay. I'm going to talk about Iran and others later. But our home folks, I'll talk about them next go round. The hero scripts, they ought to make the movies they can make right now for themselves. But the coming revolution, public ownership will probably be a part of public ownership. Like, it won't be private ownership of Safeway and Lucky's and all this. Be public ownership. The people own the big companies. They own and they run them, you know. And they'll just confiscate it all. Well, just imagine if the people produce all this stuff and sell it and they divide up. That'll be a little bit better, you know. So that means the collection and distribution, property, land, everybody should have to have some land that they own, their own property. And most people, believe it or not, used to have land. They used to have property. They used to actually be property owners. But they had some tricks. Buy, 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 get yourself over, doop, and then they build up. Then the white man snatches all the money out of the stock market, and they did it to him 4 or 5 times. I remember 87, then in 2001, 2000, and every time I said, now what they ought to do while it's a 600, they ought to buy, buy, buy. And then they didn't do it this time, but those other 3 times they did it just like that. Buy, buy, buy at 600, and then it goes up. I said, man, it's up to 1,000. It's up to 1,500. Man, it's on a roll. Then the white man would bring it, crash it, and take the money. That's how everybody got broke. They buy a house, they blow the house price of a house up. You can have this house, man, for little or nothing, right? Then they crash it, and he loses his house. People that were wealthy lost out. Redistribution of property, land. Cannot stop it. I put 99% chance this is going to happen. Coming revolution or coming evolution. Public ownership, anti-slavery, anti-Wall Street rebellion. So this is anti-Wall Street. Or the revolution is always anti-rich. Why? Because wherever it is, the rich that got all the money, and these dummies don't leave none for nobody. If I was rich, I'd say, I tell you what, hey man, let's spend about 20% of what we done stole and spread it around for everybody to get some. Why? Because we're going to get all of that back anyway. The system is rigged for us. So when they give us that 20% back plus what that inflated to, which would be 75%, well, we'll give 20% back of that and keep, you know what I mean? Keep them having money. Keep them happy. They won't do it. They have to take $1 zillion and get on a damn ship. That's why they shot hung the lady, put her in the guillotine. People of Paris have no food, no bread. Hell, let them eat cake. They didn't like that. Eat cake, fluffy cake, and we ain't got no bread? Why, white lady, you making fun of us. So off with that girl's head. That was the last time you ever heard anybody say let them eat cake when they was hungry, right? What are they going to do with all these politicians? They don't have confidence in them. And because they got 2 teams, that's even better for a revolution, because at every revolution, It's going this way. One part is for revolution, the other part is counter-revolutionary. That guarantees you. Everything that's happening now guarantees. It may come at the end of the next go-round, which is only next year, I think, or a little bit farther than that. Other than that, this one is over. So we're going to get busy. Don't worry, we're going to go back to what we was talking about and what we was doing. Okay, connection. Nationalized people ownership, that's right, we already talked about that. Truck drivers, highway patrol. See, all the people, you can see when the Congress, which they consider fat cats, don't say all those nice, poor, middle class people saved our lives. The dumbest thing in the world. Now, that don't mean that the police was nice. Can you imagine niggas going up there doing that at the White House, at the Congress? Oh, boy. They'd have shot holes in niggas' head 15 miles away if they even heard that we was headed that way. If they shoot a black woman with a little baby in the back for just driving up and speeding around, what will they do to Negroes? Everybody repeats that because everybody know it. Well, you'd be blown away. What do you think would be happening? Right? Did the great Congress say, we really thank y'all? No, half of them said, you guys, first they said it, then after that they said, you guys, there's something smelly going on. And I was looking at the police the other day, he was actually crying. Not that I felt sorry for him or nothing, you know, a war vet and all that. And a big old Negro, you ever seen him on TV? The big old Negro guy? How broken-hearted they was. They was broken-hearted. Okay, at this period, there's always some buffoon, some dictatorial crackpot like Trump, right? He guarantees this is going to happen because he hasn't gone away. He hasn't gone away, therefore they have to keep something going, right? Whatever they have, keep going. One group gets more over here, the other group that's with him gets farther over there. Can't help it. Nah, I ain't claiming we know anything, but we said, soon as we saw Trump, we said, Trump, he's going to destroy the Republican Party. 2 weeks later, we said, he's going to destroy America. Does anybody remember that? He's going to finish off America. That's his job. Okay. Well, everybody got the pattern. I'll be a little clear about this. I just zipped this down right quick. So you could see any of this on today's news. Everything is just out there. So are there any questions or any comments about anything that we said? And I asked the question, does any of this make any sense?
One of the things I wanted to ask is like this, with everybody kind of fracturing to their own, separate groups.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think this would be possible, but what is your thought on, say, the United States catching itself in, say, a race war?
That's possible, but not likely. That's not likely. It's
And I'm only saying that because I've gotten
Because that's what I've been hearing. People talking about race war.
that's what they're putting. They're putting that out. They're putting that out. It's going to be a fight, and it's going to be between races.
Yeah, they're putting that out.
No, No. They're trying to get the heat off themselves. Because all the people which got sense and said it ain't us, what did we do? We hungrier than you. And if the people were to start fighting, then that means the dumb police would be used. Now the police are going to be allies. That's why it has to be some people who are thinking, who are not neutral, but hey, they watching. So they can add into, at the risk of their own life, say, hold it. You're a Mexican and you're fighting another Mexican? You need some thinking. Oh, you're black and you're fighting another black? Oh, you're white and fighting another white? Well, what about which one of the black people put you in this position? Which one of the Mexicans stole your house? Was it Mexicans put you out of your house? Who did that? Right? Which bank, Negro bank, which bank put you white folk, you living in your cracker box house on the street, because of what black person? Somebody's got to be there to remind them, right? They already have to have the stuff printed up. If they let it go, yeah, they would they would put it that way. That's to get the heat off themselves. To get the heat off themselves. I'm not saying we got nothing to do with it, but we're not going to sit around and watch nobody do each other in, right? And there's other people that have some sense. There are some humanitarians, and that group is growing bigger. Whether it's the people who are environmentalists and all of this, uh, uh, they ain't got nothing against nobody, right? And even if we're not around, somebody gonna have, this I believe, gonna have enough sense to say, hold it. We ain't going for that. Yeah, and this is our hope. Only thing we know, not for certain, but we have a good idea about, that this thing is going up in smoke. Enjoy the last few months, weeks, maybe even years of semi-tranquility, because it's gone. It's got to go. There's no historical way this can hold on and hold on. It just won't happen. So are there any more questions or comments about any of this? Yeah. Okay.
What are your thoughts on what are the rich people thinking? Because they got to be educated. They got the resources. They can see the landscape too.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, get your thoughts on the rich people got to be looking at this thinking, hey, I need to figure out some way to head this thing off.
They're not doing it. They're trying to head people off. The media trying to head people off, blame it on these people, but it's not working. It's not working. Go back to the original. Why are you on the street? What Negro pulled a string to put you out here? Who did that? Well, the bank did it. They did. Okay, who's in the bank? Who owned the bank? Who owned all of that? A conglomerate of people own that bank, not me. You're going to send me to the firing squad for what? For what? Por qué? Yeah, right? The thing is, during the transition, is to keep reason. And they won't be able to cut it off because of sidebar type communication, whether it's Facebook, whether it's this or that, people will cut through the shenanigans. It'll be enough, I believe that it'll be enough people that are grounded in reality, that will help keep the people focused. So those rich people, yeah, they're gonna. They're not smart because I wouldn't want to have 100 people in town. I wouldn't want to be the guy that owned more than all the other 99 people, and I'm gonna live right there in the town. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. Hey man, and they all walking by looking at me in there, and I'm pouring gold into gold, silver into silver, right? And laid back, got wind blowing on me in the summer and cool wind, and I'm out there burning up in the summer and sweating and smell like a goat. No, indeed, I wouldn't do it. They will because you got to understand how greedy people, it cuts off reality. And you think, I'm rich, I deserve that. They're poor, they deserve that. It's really, I got a taste of it. I said, man, this is cold-blooded. They blame the people for being poor. You deserve to be poor. They don't blame it on themselves. I used my intellect. I did have a grandparent and a mama and daddy that made me rich, but I built it up richer. I didn't waste it. They deserve to be rich. Be poor. Yeah, I used to be with a bunch of Negroes at night time, sitting up snorting cocaine. And the people, all they did was made fun of poor niggas. Them niggas is poor. The niggas is poor and stupid, and they need to be. I used to look at them, I said, if they would have been born in another environment, at another time, they would have been captains of industry because but they wasn't smart enough to see that. They were stupid and arrogant. And when the white man pulled a string and they started going down, they would feel bad when everybody come after them. I didn't feel bad. I said, well, I did the best I could for you niggas. Now I'm gone. You do what you want, right? Hey, man, the people on TV sound like that they're humanitarians. They hate and they think people deserve, nigga, you poor, you deserve to be poor. You black, nigga, you deserve to be black. I mean, it's such a hatred, you don't even, because see, they have to justify being who they are. And they justify that I deserve to be here. You deserve to be there. Your wives, your children are useless unless I want to use them.
I believe you when you say that. There's a documentary I watched.
Yeah.
I think it was one of those Michael Moore documentaries about rich people.
Yeah.
This guy said on the interview, he was like, well, I'm rich because I can handle it. And there's some people that just can't handle money like me. And so that's why they're not rich.
That's why they're not rich?
You know, and I was like, wow, I started hearing that the first time. That blew my mind. Y'all
No.
really people that feel that.
No, they really, he was being nice. They are worse than that. They are worse than that. No, man. You know, there ain't nothing in the world worse than a poor nigga. Boy, I'm telling you, I used to listen to them all night. That's all they did was brag. The ones that I knew bragged about having money, you know, pimping hoes and slamming Cadillac doors. That's all they talked about. And it was a crime to be poor. Far as them. And they was poor niggas. Poor for like what rich people get. And this is temporary for them. All the Negroes is temporary money. They hit a streak of luck and they robbed the bank. They did this, that, and another. And they had a streak. I think 1 or 2% of rich Negroes stay rich. Maximum. Niggas up, niggas down. Just like that. Because he haven't learned. I'll close on this. That's why I always say about reparations. We should have at least a 4-year course on money management before we give any nigga any money. That ain't gonna help much. but at least it'll help for 2, 3 weeks. He have money for maybe a month or two. But look at anybody. They get famous, they go broke. And it's not black people. I was reading a People's Magazine today. Somebody put it on it. The white people are worse than us. They live in. Not that I feel sorry for rich white folks, but they're not happy. And the Negroes is less happier than them. All the prettiest looking people. I was reading something on Halle Berry. She just got a man that she kind of liked or something like that. She's 54 years old. Took all that time to find somebody that she likes and that person helps her. That might last a month or a year, but they when you look at somebody that's physically beautiful, that's who you look at, right? Or oh well, that's what you used to look. Now all those people, what's the poor little white lady they had that started off as a baby and she got they got a big support group. She just got rid of her daddy.
Oh, Britney Spears.
Britney Spears. Britney Spears. The way they was treating her, they was treating her worse than that. They was working that child to death, right? And keeping all the money. I said, man, if she's so stupid, why don't you let her have a couple of days rest? They have her in Vegas and everywhere and spending all the money. And she was lucky because she had a whole support group. They were chatting and cheering, and she'd have been, and they did it to her. You imagine you take a little child. All the kids like that is crazy. The other ones is, all of them is crazy. The little Hollywood stars, because Hollywood, you're beautiful, you're what everybody wants, and you ought to be happy. And ain't none of them happy.
I was just telling somebody about the difference between Billie Holiday and what happened to her
Right,
and Judy Garland.
right,
And
right,
how the same police that was going after Billie Holiday,
right.
when he confronted Judy Garland, he passed over her drug problem.
Mm-hmm.
Basically said, look, kind of cool out.
Yeah,
But he definitely went after Billie Holiday.
yeah. They hated this. They hated, and it didn't do poor Julie Garland any good. And crazy as a Betsy bug. But see, that's the thing about not living in a world somewhere over the rainbow and all that. Look, Hollywood runs people crazy, but it also gives them, they see things that are possible. You know, that's one of the crews we want to get on our team, on the team, because people listen to them. And they've made movies about stuff like that. And they know that if things are set and arranged right, it's actually possible to do. You see what I mean? So we don't want to leave them out. We're not talking about them, and because a lot of them that was there, they're still there now. They've helped. Marlon Brando was big in the civil rights movement. He helped out. Shoot, well, Sidney Poitier didn't. He helped under the quiet, but he let Harry Belafonte give all the money. You go do it. I ain't gonna do it. Right? No, Sidney Poitier, he was a good man, but he'd give it to him. You go do it. You know, I ain't got the courage to get out there talking out the side of my mouth. It ain't what I do. But here, you need $1 million. There you go. Yeah, go give it to them. See what they do with it, right? So everybody fits into this. What it is about us, we want to be a force for good. And that's what we're going to do, whether they like it or not. It don't make no difference with anybody else. Uh, It's just that this thing is it's closer. It's closer. You can feel it. It's like you can taste it. It's close. This can't continue that much longer. Not the way it is. It's close. And it have to be, believe it or not, we've been working on this for decades because we felt this coming a we always felt it coming. We just been feeling it all along. So everything has been one step, but this is where we've been headed all the time. Okay, any more questions or comments? Okay, I just want to say to the dear people there, we're going to expand on our fundraising, and so we're working to raise more funds for what we got to do, because see, what we working toward, it ain't nobody here to help us. In fact, everybody that's within an earshot is here to stop us. Now, technically, it ain't gonna work, and who cares, you know? See, there's something you gotta want to take very serious about Islam. If you want to do good, you're gonna get one blessings for that good you want to do. If you do it, you may get 200, 2,000, and that's unlimited. So you got one blessing coming because you want to do it. One blessing is enough. Tell it. One blessing that's okayed by Allah is sufficient. Okay? And I'm just going to say this. Out of all the stuff y'all want, I already had all that long time ago. And I had it when it was, I had it when I was younger. And all that stuff, other people talk about, nigga, I'm having money. I'm going to just tell you, I spent $500,000 cash on the school, and ain't nobody from the school came by to wave at me. Don't make no difference, right? Ain't nobody came by out of all the kids. And their parents, they have, you ain't seen now one of them come through and say, how you doing? Salam alaikum, right? Because I wasn't doing it for that. I did it because that's what the outline called for, right? Now, as far as blessings, I'm just going to tell you, and I ain't bragging about it, but I ain't never been even close to this happening. The older I get, the better things are. And it don't have nothing to do with the amount of material. Because right now, I would be considered the brokest I ever been. I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've been broke, I don't remember being this broke. That's a long time ago when a nigga ain't was 76 years old and can't remember. And this is all right, because it don't add up in dollars and cents. And don't worry about it. Whatever we need, Allah gonna give it to us. And whatever we get, we would still be laying over there on the floor anyway. That's what we do. So what? Ain't nobody wouldn't buy nothing else. Would be nothing in the refrigerator, nothing anyway. It would be the same thing. And when we get all this big money from Boss Man, this will be the same. We'll see laying right over there on the floor, laying in the floor. Well, as long as you can get up off the floor. After you're down a while, you get older, you got to get next to a chair. You got to get up some kind of other way than just pop it up, you know. And I'll close with this. It's like that my daughter used to do this joke about the lady on a commercial. I've fallen down and I can't get up. Do you remember that? She just couldn't imagine how could you fall down and you can't get up. But it's possible. When the people hit me in the head, and I actually couldn't get up. I couldn't move, you know. I couldn't get up, you know. So it's possible. Again, dear believers, we ask Allah to continue us on this road. This is the road. Okay. Last thing I'm going to say is, you work for humanity, you work fi sabilillah. You won't get no happier than that. The people in Hollywood already got everything. You can't get more than they got. And they look better than you, too. They actually look better. You're the ugly nigga, I tell you. You need help. But I'm just saying. They look nice, and they got everything, and they committing suicide, right? The majority of them, that class, those people, and you think you sad you get married and stay married for 5 years, they stay married 2 weeks a day, right? And that's it. All of them, not all, not each and every one of them, but a lot of them, just 80, 90%, something like that. So I'm telling you, get hooked up and work in fi sabilillah. You want to be happy, just do something. It sounds kind of crazy. Do something for somebody else, not for yourself. That's the wrong thing. And don't sit there talking about they don't deserve it. I ain't going to help them niggas because they don't deserve it. Well, just because you're right don't mean you shouldn't help them. Hey, Allah directs you. You do that, Allah going to hook you up. Thank y'all very much. Remember, we're going to be out and around for a couple of days per week and on Friday. And we're going to get around, get the message out. And that'll be that. Thank you very much. Akula kali hada. Astaghfirullah li wa lakum.